And I would like to say thank you for joining us on this Friday lunchtime session. I am so excited to have Dr. Keta Patel. She's the owner in functional wellness and chiropractic physician at Excel Wellness Center, and she is going to present for us Optimize Your Health for Success. We will be taking questions at the end, so if you want to include your questions in the chat, I will be facilitating those at the end of the presentation. So once again, thank you, Dr. Patel, and I turn the floor over to you.
So hi everyone, this is such an honor to be here, and I really, I'm so thankful for Junior League to give me this opportunity to speak to all of you. Even though this is a virtual event, it feels so fantastic to be here and among all you amazing women, and I can just feel the positive energy. Now, I am a chiropractor, but I do practice functional wellness. I am enrolled in the school in Functional Medicine University, so I'm able to incorporate those in important aspects of functional wellness in my practice. And one of the main things, speaking of energy, the positive energy and energy in general, let me ask you, how many of you feel exhausted, and you feel like you need more energy all the time? And how many have you felt like you've been in a bad mood and wanted to be able to shift your mood just like that, right? It's almost as yes, exactly. As women, it's almost like we take pride in being busy and doing thousands of things, and we take on more than we can handle, and we keep trying to push ourselves, and as mothers, as wives, as leaders, but we don't realize that by pushing ourselves and not really taking care of ourselves, we're actually risking all of those things that we actually want to do, right? So this is exactly where I was just a few years ago. I had a toddler and a newborn, and I had just opened my new practice. And at the same time, I was trying to figure out what was going on with my mom's health, and it was taking a toll on her, on me, and I was tired and exhausted all the time. I couldn't focus. I kept forgetting things. And as a mother, it was so upsetting. This was the most upsetting thing of all, is that instead of playing with my son, I would just sit back and let him play. Or even if I joined him, it was sort of like I wasn't all there. And that was not okay. All basically I wanted to do is sleep all the time. And when I do try getting in the bed at night, I can't sleep. So confused as to what was going on with my health, and, thinking to myself, I have always been able to keep up with things. My friends would always say that, hey, Keta always had so many things going on and able to keep up with this, everything. And all of a sudden, I am not able to do that. I'm not enjoying it. More like I'm still pushing, but I'm not enjoying it, right? So what happened? What happened to me? And more importantly, what did I do about it? Nothing. As hard-headed as I am about my capabilities, my strength, I refuse to take a step back and show people that I'm suffering. And, everyone around me thinks that I'm this badass woman who is capable and to handle all of this, and I'm not backing out. Also, because I was ashamed. I was ashamed of the fact that how I got here. When I'm supposed to take care of other men and women and help them not get here, how did I get here myself? So it was very hard candy to chew for myself, and to realize that I need help myself. And I had to recognize that I cannot fulfill my life's purpose unless I'm healthy. So here I am today, feeling amazing, inspired, and motivated because I took charge of my health, my body. It's important. And I was able to do that with all the knowledge I gained from chiropractic college, and I continue to do as I study through Functional Medicine University. It's given me a different perspective of what health really is. And for those of you who may not know what functional medicine is, it means that getting to the root cause by changing the function of your body. You know, how you can make your body, all the organs function optimally. And you do that by getting to the root cause. And once you fix the root cause, everything starts to work like it's meant to. Your body is meant to heal itself. We just need to figure out what's the cause. Um, Today, I wanted to focus on the whole issue of being tired and exhausted all the time, right? And why we can't be more productive and function. So, how many of you feel overwhelmed at least once a month or every week? Yep. And that's, again, because we're always on the go, you know, fast paced, we barely take any time off. Now, things have changed a little bit since the quarantine and coronavirus. And I wish that we can continue living on, you know, at the same pace at the same time, you know, slow down a little bit and really enjoy living, right? But I also know that it's not true. As soon as things get back to normal, we are all going to go back to working the way things, you know, the way things were. So, which leads us to have that stressful life, you know. And now by stress, I don't mean physical stress only. I mean emotional and chemical. And chemical means more the foods we tend to start eating, right? Because when we have this fast-paced life, we tend to grab foods that are not always healthy. You know, we tend to veer towards more fast foods and making wrong choices. So you have to really focus on yourself and make that decision for yourself, that what is right for you. You know, imagine if we continue to live in this state of chronic, you know, or chronic stress. Our body is in a constant fight or flight in that case, right? Here's a statistic: 73% of all Americans feel overwhelmed almost all the time. That's major, right? So when your body is experiencing this chronic stress, emotional, physical, and chemical, what are some of the effects that you feel or people tend to feel? Well, number one, the most common thing that I hear is weight gain, you know, mainly around the belly and the waist area. But if you truly think about the weight gain, it's really not just about the weight, or the fat that we're accumulating. It's really about our body producing all the inflammatory cells as we gain weight, right? The inflammation that our body creates is the problem, because that causes changes in our health, such as, you know, blood pressure, heart disease, dementia, Parkinson's, you name it, neurological diseases, hormonal issues, you know, like thyroid and adrenals. So it is very important to really think about the weight, and as not just the weight, but what actually is happening in our body, right? 80%, another fact, 80% of all these chronic diseases, they come because we have inflammation in our body. 80%, that's a big percentage. So think about what can happen to our bodies and our health if we can start to gain control over that inflammation, the inflammatory process and the cause of it. So, you know, a few more facts. According to CDC, currently 1 in every 10 individuals or American is diabetic, and 1 in every 3 is pre-diabetic. I honestly think that the numbers are a lot worse than this, but this is what CDC is saying. But this is still worse. You know, this is still bad, and it's going to keep getting worse if we don't take control of our health. You know, also, did you know that 20 million Americans have some form of thyroid disease? And women are 10 to 15%, or 10 to 15 times more likely to get thyroid problems. I wonder why. I'm one of the person who has thyroid. I've had it since 2007. And so I know what caused my health to go down the hill, right? We spoke a little bit earlier about why women tend to be, or us women tend to be so much on taking on so many tasks and stressing ourselves. So as leaders and entrepreneurs, we have to understand, you know, our self-worth at all the time. How many times have you heard when you go to parties that gosh, I work so many hours, or I'm so tired because I'm working all the time, but not once have I heard anybody say, I need to slow down a little bit. I need to take back a little bit, right? Step back a little bit. Now we have to understand and get into that mindset, like I said, to take care of ourselves, because by that, we're not only preventing ourselves from being one of the statistics, but more importantly, we're enjoying our lives. We're going to start enjoying our lives with our loved ones. And that is important. In my office, majority of my patients are women. I have some men, but mainly women. And their main complaints are fatigue and can't focus. They stopped or limit their social interactions, family events. They're depressed. Their marriage is suffering because they have low libido and or can't conceive. These are important factors that we have to consider where our health is taking us. My heart goes out to them because I have felt some of these myself, especially like fatigue and loss of interest. And it sucks. It really sucks, and with that said, I want to give you guys a crash course about how stress can affect our adrenal glands, which are our, stress gland, and thyroid gland. So, and how the brain and thyroid and adrenal kind of communicate with each other. So when you are typically under a stressful situation, your hypothalamus sends signal to your pituitary gland. Both of them sit in your brain. And then your pituitary gland sends signal to either your adrenals, which is normally what happens in the stressful situation, to produce either corticosteroids like cortisol, and so that we can cope with it. Now what happens? Over time, if we continue to be under stress for years, months, weeks, whatever you want to call it, our body kind of gets confused. Our brain gets confused. So either two things will happen. Your adrenals will stop making cortisol completely because it's stressed out, or it'll continue to make too much of it nonstop. Both will cause problems with your thyroid, right? Because if you have too much cortisol, your liver and also your gut will start to suffer. Liver and gut are very important when it comes to your thyroid gland, because those two organs help convert your thyroid hormones into the more usable form, right? So our body produces a little bit of T4. Our thyroid produces a little bit of T4, and the rest happens when you get the signal, and the rest happens, the conversion happens when the liver and gut starts to function like it's meant to. The conversion happens there. So if the liver is shut down, because now there's so much cortisol and it's having to filter all that, and your gut is suffering, then the conversion from T4 to T3 does not occur, or it slows down. So then what happens? You're tired, you're gaining weight for two reasons, because your thyroid has shut down and you have so much cortisol. Now your body feels like it's in that saving mode, so it starts to store fat. You need to take a hold of that, because thyroid gland itself controls all our organs. Every single organ has receptors that take in the T3 so that it can function well. So if our body doesn't make enough T3, which is the active form, we're not going to be, living optimally. Our health is not going to be optimal. So it's very important. A lot of patients tell me that they're taking medication, suffering from fatigue, all these symptoms, they're taking medication. Well, the medications for thyroid are mainly T4, the inactive form, but they're still suffering. Why? Because the conversion is not taking place. Why? Because they're under chronic stress, causing the cortisol to build up, causing the adrenals to get crazy, right? So every single thing is very, very connected, and we have to make sure we get down to the root cause and fix that, all right? So keep in mind now, not all stress is bad. A little bit of stress can be beneficial and can actually motivate us to be more focused and more productive and without making you sick. I have put together a few important tips on how we can be more productive, without getting stressed.
Before you jump into it, do you mind if I ask a quick question? I'm so sorry. Like, I'm fascinated by this. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to my doctor.
No problem.
Okay, you're saying that our body has T3 and it produces T4, but the T4 needs to be converted to T3. But if we're under too much stress, then our body does not convert the T4 to T3.
Yes. So
even if you're taking medication.
Yes. So here's the thing. Our body makes about 10% T3. I shouldn't say body, I take it back. Our thyroid makes about 10% T3, which is the active form. The rest is T4, which is the inactive form. So that inactive form has to actually convert to T3 so that we can actually use that. The reason it would, one of the reasons, because there's many, one of the reasons that it wouldn't convert, one of the major reasons is if our liver doesn't function well and our gut is not functioning well. So to give you more detail, in the conversion process from T4 to T3, liver puts in 60% and gut puts in 20%. So that's total of 80% of the conversion done by these two organs. So we have to take care of them so that we can see that conversion happening. There's other reasons, but they're very minor. But when you get under stress and you have increased amount of cortisol, this slows down. The conversion by liver slows down because now liver's energy is focused more towards controlling the cortisol or filtering the cortisol. So that's one of the reasons.
Hi, this is Makisha Judson, and I have so enjoyed your presentation thus far. I think it's so appropriate right now to where, as some of us are working from home and our lives for me at least, has slowed down, and when we're thinking about these things, I guess what would be some of the solutions that we can start trying to implement or trying to correct ourselves. I feel like while we have the time now, because when things are back to normal or our new normal, or when things open back up, to where we won't fall into the rat race again of busy in our lives. So what are some of the things, I guess, in terms of corrective measures that good to see you too, that we can do. And it's
Awesome.
so good to see so many friends and our league sisters on the call, but I would love to hear that. Thanks, Doctor.
So that's perfect, actually, and thank you for asking me that question. But that's exactly what I'm about to talk about, which is I've put together 5 important steps that we can start incorporating right now, so that it can be continued when we do go back to our normal working life, right? So the first one is find your optimal zone, and these are things that I've learned from my mentor, Dr. Aviva. So number one thing is finding your optimal zone, right? What is the optimal zone? This is where you are most stimulated and focused without crossing over that high chronic stress zone, right? So stop multitasking. Number one, stop multitasking. Then stop saying yes to everything. I know it's hard. It's still hard for me sometimes, but stop saying yes to everything. Maybe ask yourself, what are the top 4 or 5 things that you must absolutely accomplish in the next 4 weeks? Then space them out so that you can tackle them one at a time and actually feel good about it and do them well without being so stressed. You're allowing yourself to finish one thing at a time. You gave yourself permission, saying, I have these things that I need to focus absolutely, the rest can wait, and I'm going to tackle in this form, right? Number 2, work smart, not hard, right? So find your body's focus time. My focus time is about 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. Now, how did I do that? Basically, you start working, and you can put a timer if you want to. and you see how long you're able to focus and work without getting distracted. And by distractions, I mean, oh gosh, I need to email this person. Oh gosh, I need to check my Facebook page for this. Whatever it is, as soon as you start having those thoughts, stop. See how long you were able to focus. Do this several times so you can get an average time, right? And then that means that's your time that you can completely focus. So when you're working, that's all you're gonna work, 30 to 40 minutes, whatever it is for you. Get up, finish those things that were distracting you. Maybe even get in some yoga, go out for a quick walk, and then come back and get back on it. What you'll find is when you return back, you're so much more productive and you get so much more accomplished. Number 3 is take a breather. And I think I want to do this all together with all of you. But basically, you put your feet on ground, you put your hands on your lap and breathe in, and count to 4. And you say, I am, as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, you say, where I need to be. Now, this can be anything you like, any affirmation that you want to, say to yourself. But this is just one of my favorite. And we just say it 3 to 4 times, and that's it. And basically, when you do this, especially right before a major meeting or an exam, it puts your mindset and keeps you calm and focused on your objectives. So let's try this, ladies. Let's put our feet on the ground, put our hands on our lap. You can keep your eyes open or closed, but just do this with me. I'm gonna keep mine closed so I can watch you guys. Take a deep breath in. I am where I need to be. Take a deep breath in. I am where I need to be. One more time. I am where I need to be. How do you feel? Just a few more, and you can do this as many times until you feel like you're calm. You can keep doing these things. Number 4 is feed your brain. I have 2 parts to this. The number 1, feeding your brain, is sleep. 7 to 8 hours of good quality sleep, because your body needs that rest at night to heal itself, right? Our stem cells are produced mainly at night. Our melatonin is produced between the hour of 10 at night and 2 in the morning. One of the things that helps you sleep really well is also watching the sunset, right? You could be out in the sun any time of the day, but you actively, I'm not saying stare at the sun, just absorb the sunlight. You actually have to let your retina absorb that sunlight for a good 30 minutes. And that helps when you go to sleep, that helps your body produce a good amount of melatonin. So doing these things will help with the sleep. Doing certain breathing exercises will also kind of calm you down. I always write everything down in a notepad. Everything I want to do next day, I will write it down. That way, when I go to sleep, I'm not thinking, oh wait, I need to do this, I need to do that. I'm not thinking, everything is written down. I'm not worried. I'm not going to forget. So, incorporate certain exercises like breathing, getting the sunlight, set a bedtime and stick to it. All right. I recommend about by 10 o'clock, 10:30, you should be sleeping. So that way you can achieve that 7 to 8 hours. If you're an early riser, then kind of time it accordingly, but at least try and get 7 to 8 hours. It's amazing what your body is capable, of doing when you give it time to that heal. The second part of this is eating the right foods, right? Eating foods that keep your blood sugar balanced will keep you from crashing. So if you need coffee midday, if you feel like you're one of the person that needs that coffee midday to keep going, then this would be something very beneficial for you, right? Eating high protein or good bit of, good amount of protein, good fats, like olive oils, walnut oils, avocado oils, or even eat avocados, right? protein, and the rest would be colorful, dark, green leafy vegetables. So incorporate these types of things in your eating habits will keep your brain working, keep your body working.
I have a question. Will all of this help with inflammation issues as well, or?
Yes, I don't know who's asking the question, but yes,
I'm sorry,
definitely.
Keisha.
So when you focus, so when you focus on eating this way, you are helping your body not produce as many inflammatory cells. Definitely, you're feeding your body the good stuff. Anything white sugar, white flour, we already know you should stay away from, and there's a couple of things that you can still incorporate if you like sugar. There's a specific sugar, or sweetener that I recommend, which is monk fruit sweetener. And I recommend that because it digests quickly, so it doesn't store, it doesn't spike up your insulin. So if you must eat something sweet, you can incorporate that, or dates. I love dates, putting in your smoothies or sweetening things up, putting a paste. What else can I say? Coffee. So I know I said those of you who need that midday coffee. Now, the reason I say coffee is in a way like I don't recommend it, is because coffee is acidic. What coffee does is it also spikes up your cortisol, right? It's a stressor, so it spikes up your cortisol. So that's one of the reasons. Now, there is a good coffee too that I can recommend. It's by Organo Gold, and if you want to find out, I can give you the information. But that coffee actually has some medicinal mushrooms in it. So what happens is you drink coffee, it tastes like coffee, but because of the mushrooms being in there, it negates the effect of inflammation. So you can still enjoy it without feeling guilty. I'm not gonna say go, drinking coffee all day long, but a cup or two, you can still enjoy guilt-free, or tea. Same thing with the tea. Teas are okay, but you can still drink coffee with teas with the medicinal mushrooms. Any other questions? Good. All right. So number 5, one of my favorite adaptogens, right? So what are adaptogens? Basically, if you have any type of hormonal imbalances, these adaptogens will balance it out, help your body balance it out. Pretty cool. So if you're low on something, it'll help balance out where it's normal. If you are high on something, one of your hormones, it'll help balance that out too. They adapt, which is why I love them so much. And my number one favorite one is ashwagandha. It's a vital Ayurvedic herb, and it has such an amazing effects on our body. Things like, especially if you take it in the morning, it gives you increased energy. At nighttime, it helps you fall asleep because it relaxes you. And overall, it helps especially with the cortisol stressors. So having ashwagandha in your routine, whether it's in the morning or at nighttime, is very beneficial overall. And second one is tulsi, or otherwise known as holy basil. Now this one, it smells good. If you have a plant, you can just wash the leaves and just chew it. I try to do 5 leaves, wash it, and every day I just chew on it. I do drink teas with tulsi as well, which is the easiest form if you want to just do it. They also have a capsule form that you can just take supplement as well. But tulsi, it reduces inflammation and it helps heal your skin conditions, and it's antibacterial. There's a double-blind trial that looked at the effects of tulsi on people with anxiety disorder, and they found that the tulsi extract significantly reduced the symptoms of anxiety, stress, and depression. So that's awesome. Instead of people taking medications, why not adapt and incorporate these in your daily life, right? There was another study done with healthy adults that found that it improved their cognition. They were able to better focus, and their error rates at work decreased significantly. So when they compared that with the placebo, this is what they found, that people were a lot more focused, they got better results, and they were more productive at work, which is important for all of us too. And my third one, which is the mushroom, the medicinal mushrooms. Reishi mushroom is one of them, which is called mushroom of immortality, right? Because it's documented for thousands of years, and it's one of the potent adaptogens that is super, super, super powerful. It helps us build our immune system. It helps improve our stress. It helps with our stress relief, and it's anti-inflammatory inflammatory as well, which is why I said if you're a coffee drinker, if you have a coffee with the mushroom in it, then it negates the effect. Now, if you do want more information on adaptogens, feel free, to contact me with email or text me at my phone, and I'll be more than happy to send you a PDF with all the information about dosage and everything else. Now, as I conclude my talk, I wanted to share two very important moments of truth that changed my mindset. Because remember, in the beginning, I said that I didn't do anything about what was happening to me. But these two moments were very important and to change my mindset and shifting to where I am at right now. The first one, this was about 2 years ago. I walk in home from work, and my 2-year-old Naksh, he runs up to me and he hugs me and he looks up and he goes, "Mommy, are you happy? I want you to be happy." And I realized that moment, I said, I didn't think I was showing off how I truly was feeling to any of my kids. And he felt it. The fact that he said, "Mommy," because I was bringing that stress home. And I dropped my bag and I went to the bathroom and I just cried. And I cried and I said, "Oh my gosh, this can't go on. This cannot go on," because I have to set a good example for them, right? So that was my moment where I said, enough is enough and no more. My health is important. I am important. I'm worthy of being healthy, because my son just saw straight through me. And I realized that if I want to fulfill my purpose, I really do need to be healthy. So that was about 2 years ago, where my journey started to really make myself healthy. To fast forwarding now, this year. Earlier this year, my older one, Aaron, he had a health event at his school, and I was one of the guest speakers. And I had to talk about the bone health. But anyways, in the morning, as we were driving to school, I asked him, I said, "Aaron, what would you say if somebody asked you what mommy does?" And he goes, in his little, know-it-all attitude, he goes, "Well, simple, mommy. I would just say my mom saves people's lives." That hit me again. That's right. Because I never had that satisfaction a few years ago. Now I have that satisfaction of saying, yes, I'm able to do that because I did that first for myself. And I love those two things because that keeps inspiring me over and over so that I won't go back to my old self. So the reason I bring this up is because I had to learn to practice what I preach. And I see so many women who come to me at their all-time low where I was before, a few years ago, and they want to quit their jobs. They have to take medical leave, or having to call in sick several times a week, or even telling me that they had to leave their business because they couldn't focus, that they couldn't be there. So we're all put on earth for a purpose, for meaningful, impactful purpose. And in order to fulfill that, we have to take charge of our health first. We can't put ourselves at the end. We want to be productive. We want to be, reaching the top positions at our work. We want to be a leader. Then we have to take care of ourselves and our body. Whether you're a CEO or just a corporate employee, or I don't care, whatever position you have, you come first, and we all deserve it. I really hope that my presentation, helped you guys. I'm open to answering any of your questions, and I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and I hope you have a wonderful journey.
So great. Thank you so much, Dr. Patel.
Oh, you're
We
welcome.
had a couple of questions in the chat, but feel free to ask questions along the way as well.
Yeah.
One question, what do you recommend to reduce inflammation and the impacts of it? I know you covered that a little bit, but can you kind of expand on that?
So adaptogens are number one go-to as far as decreasing inflammation. Number two, or even before the adaptogen, actually, I would focus more on eating the anti-inflammatory foods, right? Like I mentioned, blueberries are really, really good. Anything that you eat, if it's dark and almost sometimes even pungent, like strong smelling, dark colored foods, those are all anti-inflammatory. Staying away from sugars and all-purpose flour and things like that also helps. Um, Walking and relaxing and getting that sleep.
Awesome. What about reducing cortisol? Would drinking more water be something that would affect that?
Maybe like, I mean, it's good to drink water, period, right? But if you're asking me directly, it may somehow make a difference. But if you really want to get a hold on cortisol, you have to get a hold on your stress. And you have to start making a conscious effort into doing whatever it takes, making yourself more organized, following those tips, even journaling. That is so big. Write down your thoughts. If something made you upset, somebody made you mad, but you can't really confront them, write it down. Or, okay, talk to yourself in the mirror and just blow it out. Don't keep it in there. One thing I love always getting back to is Gaur Gopal Das is another person I follow and I really look up to him. He said, are you worried? Yes. Can you do something about it? Yes. So why are you worried? You can do something about it. Then, are you worried? Yes. Can you do something about it? No. Well, then why are you worried again? So tell that to yourself. Why am I worried? If I can control it, if I can change it, all I have to do is change it. If I can't, well, I can't. I don't need to spend my time on this earth in trying to worry about those things. It's that mindset that you absolutely have to get. Another thing I absolutely love is grounding. Go outside bare feet. Go walk on the grass. First thing in the morning, even better, good 15, 20 minutes, just walk. Any time of the day, morning is just nice because it's cooler, you have the dewdrops. It just feels much better. But that grounding really puts you in that mindset too, that watching the nature, watching the tree. One of the analogies I like is if you look at the tree, I learned that from one of my other mentors. He's really good at making connections with the nature and our health. Is he said that if you have a tree, you can't just look, the branches are only good, the leaves are only good as what the actual branches, the trunk is, right? So if you take care of the trunk, which is us, everything else that we want to do will also be fruitful. But if you don't take care of the trunk, then nothing good will come out no matter what you want to accomplish. So being in nature gives you that grounding and that understanding, and really learn so much from plants and flowers and trees and things like that, things in nature.
And we definitely had some interest in the list of antigens and supplements you suggested as well.
Awesome. The adaptogens, yes. All I need for that is if I can just get everybody's email address, I can just send that PDF off.
Perfect.
And I do have a weekly email that I send out with tons and tons of tips and cool things like this that you can start incorporating. It's just good. It's wellness tips and things you can just start doing right away. If you're interested, just let me know too, so I can add your name or email to that list as well, because I love putting those together, and I just feel so good about it that, hey, I can tell somebody, try this, and it actually works.
Fantastic. Do we have any other questions?
I do. This is Makisha again. Dr. Patel, if you can, could you and you may have talked about this already, just briefly, if we wanted to start our journey, and I know you said you went through your journey and you meet with clients, like, do we start this journey and meet with our OBGYN? What questions should we be asking with our doctor? What tests should we kind of try to get to see where we are to measure our current health?
So that depends. Okay, are you specifically speaking about your thyroid health or overall health? Or do you want me to just, so, as far the
Well, you
different,
mentioned a lot of things. You mentioned in terms of women's health and stress. You mentioned being able that's unfortunately some women, it had affected their reproduction and being able to have children. You know, thyroids, kind of just where do we start on this journey?
perfect. Yeah, so thank you for clarifying that. So the first thing you want to start out with, besides your typical lipid panel and you know, even your metabolic panel, is to get a complete thyroid panel. Also a saliva test for your hormones. And the reason I do saliva test is because it's done throughout the day. It's not just a morning or whenever you go blood test. When you do the saliva test, you have to literally spit in like a little test tube 4 times a day, you know, morning, mid-morning, lunch, mid, you know, or at lunch, mid-afternoon, and at night. So it measures how your cortisol levels were, you know, how your estrogen levels were, progesterone, all of those sex hormones. It measures the level throughout the day. Then as far as your thyroid panel, the reason you want to do the complete panel is because, now I'm going to give you an example, me personally. Initially, before I got into functional wellness and I started studying it, every time I go to my doctor, all they would do is TSH, T3, and T4. Yeah, those 3. And every time they come back and say, everything is great, things are good. Total T3 and total T4. Now, they never measured the reverse T3 or the free T3 and T4. There's a difference, right? Because you want to know how much free T3 you have. That's the T3 that gets used by your body. You know, if you have TSH, that's normal, which is great. Your body's producing enough thyroid stimulating hormone, right? What your brain tells your pituitary gland to create that TSH, which tells your thyroid to produce thyroid hormones. It's producing enough of that T4. So now when you get those 3 results, your doctor thinks, oh, everything is fine. It's all in your head. Keep taking your medication or everything is fine. Just go home and exercise and eat right. Well, it's not just that. Why, in that case, if everything is normal, I'm still feeling horrible? It's because that conversion is not happening from T4 to T3. And that's what we have to get to. And that's why I recommend getting the complete, because in the complete, we do free T3, free T4, reverse T3, because it tells us that reverse T3 tells us the whole, the negative feedback back to the brain that, hey, slow down, we have enough of T3, we don't need to signal anymore. But if that's not happening, then your body will keep making more TSH and it'll come out as normal, or it might come out as high. So going back, free T3, free T4, TSH, iodine, the thyroglobulin antibody, and thyroid peroxidase antibody. Yes, I'm trying to make sure that I got them all. Those are the ones those are all. So you got all those tests that you must look at, because if you look at partial and you didn't look at the antibodies, a lot of times, here's a fact, 96% plus of all the cases who are hypothyroidism also have the autoimmune portion of it, which is Hashimoto's. So if you never looked at the antibodies and you just kept looking at those 3 figures, you would never know if you ever had Hashimoto's. So then again, it adds on to not feeling well, and your body is attacking your thyroid gland and you never knew about it until it became so big and you had goiter, you had tough time breathing or swallowing, and you developed either, you know, they had to remove it, or it developed into a cancer. So you have to be very focused on or not focused, but you have to be on top of things when you go to your doctor and say, I want these tests. I have found that few of my patients, when they ask, they have been able to get those tests, but mostly all the time, or most of the time, sorry, they won't, because it's not covered by insurance. So then I go ahead and do order those tests for them. That way we can make sure that they're on the right track. Because when you have Hashimoto's, you have to be super careful with that, because that means now your body has autoimmunity, which means it's not just going to attack thyroid, it can attack other organs too. So I hope that helped. Now I wasn't just rambling because I really get into this. So, just one more thing. So in order for you to figure out with your, fertility or just your female hormones and things, these are the two things that I would really focus on, because everything else you're going to get general anyways. But when you get these two, you really understand exactly what's going on with your hormones and if there's a conversion glitch or not.
Any other questions?
And look, if you think of a question later on, feel free to email it to me. I would love to answer them. So
I was just going to ask, where's your practice located?
So my practice is on Highland, right across from Rufino's. I'm inside inside Kazi Med Aesthetic. And yeah, it's right across from Rufino's in the same shopping center as Maxwell's.
I love eating there, but that's probably not what I'm supposed to say.
Well, depends what you get. Depends on what you eat. You
should getting stuff from Maxwell's is probably better than Rufino's.
Yes, that's true, because they do have a lot more healthier choices there. One thing, yeah, I told you all about the email that I sent out, because I'm getting a really good feedback from those emails. So that's why I want to get more people on it so they can find out about this too. But at any time, and if you have questions, or even people who listen to the recording, if they have any questions, give them my information. I will go ahead and address their questions, or if I also do 20-minute discovery calls so they can talk to me one-on-one. Anything I can do to help, I'm here for it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patel.
And
thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much.
We will continue these Women's Leadership Conference virtual sessions throughout the year. So be sure to tune in to the other presenters as they come up. Look out for a survey as well to come to your inbox about the session. And I will send Dr. Patel all the email addresses for the participants, so we can send out the list of supplements that you recommended.
Yes, of course.
Thank you so much. And you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. I like literally, this feels so nice to be able to interact with people. Yay. I mean, I do webinars, but I'm usually doing 1 or 2 people at a time. And this is like, yay, I'm with a group of people. So nice.
Great. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you. You take care. Have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.